Puti Bandile Magibili.
Yes, sir.
I'm honored to have you here. And, you know, normally when I sit down with guests, I want to go through the history of where they come from, etc. I think you're actually well decorated in terms of the information you've sent me. I'm hoping that more people are going to research who you are. And maybe even in the conversation we're going to be having today, we'll get to unpack certain aspects of your life. But in the spirit of time, as an opener, I want us to and speak about specifically what we came here for today.
Yeah.
The biggest one being the South African flag that you want us to address. But I also want to go through just a list of the 10 points that you want us to highlight. And then where you want us to start. The South African flag is what's important for me. And I'd also like people to know that you are officially the person that discovered Usis Zahara, that we lost Usis Bulelo. Maybe you can touch on that as well if time permits.
Okay.
You want us to speak about your love for poetry, which I think is very, very important. The inspiration behind creating performance platforms for grassroots, especially in the Eastern Cape. And you have a deep passion for Emonti, East London, very importantly. The idea of your book, which we've got here, and I'm going to put the details in the comments and on my other social media for people that are interested. To Be Black is the book that you wrote, anti-apartheid artist. Very, very important book. How that came about, what the book is about, etc. Out of so many people and different subjects, why you chose to write about Hastings Mqhayi, Utembani. Hastings Mqhayi, because he's one of the inspirations behind this book that you wrote here. The subject matter around the lectures one conducts at institutions of higher learning. This is some of the work you've done. You've sent me some of the documents of some of the prestigious institutions outside of South Africa that have actually appreciated the work that you're doing. The history behind the infringement of the intellectual property around the design of the South African flag, which is probably where we'll start. What is the recourse for the ongoing case around the South African flag design? Developmental platforms that give grassroots artists an opportunity to travel abroad without government or private funding. Very controversially because, as you know, Abantu believe government is the only way. And people need to know it's not the only way. How government is not investing in the arts and the state of the arts in South Africa. Those are the points. We may not get to all of them. But Mqhayi, I'd like to welcome you to sitting with me, and I hope upilile.
And grand. All right now?
No, I'm good. I'm happy that we're here. It's been a long time coming, and I'm honored.
Definitely. I'll leave the points up to you. Which one do you want to address first?
We have to speak about the South African flag. As we were coming into studio, you were speaking about how the mainstream media has been shutting down your attempts to get the story out. We are podcasters. We are on alternative media. So the floor is yours. What do Abahlali not know about the South African flag and the issues around the design?
Okay, let me give you background, but I think some of, and thanks for the opportunity, I think some of the points, the 10 points will be covered during this conversation.
Okay.
Firstly, I must just give a background of who Bandile is and where he comes from and how it actually reached to this point where one is advocating for the recognition of Mr Hastings Mqhayi for his designership of the flag. So I was raised by my late grandmother. So when I passed my matric, a week later she passed on. And then around that time, that is a time when I had to be at varsity. So my advantage was that in high school, I was involved in COSAS, in student politics. So I got to know and understand the doors and avenues where I could knock in order for me to be at school. So after she passed on, I had to find ways on how I could go to school because there was no education plan or any investments in place to ensure that I'm able to go to school and further my studies. And one of the things I was interested to study was architecture and information technology. So, and law, LLB, actually, So what I did, after she passed on, because I was not actually used to getting support from, my parents were still alive at the time, but because my mother got married to another husband and my father, vice versa. So now I was raised by this old woman who is the mother to my mother. Then I had to do what they call introspection at the time, you know, because what came to my mind is that if I were to think about the loss, I would lose focus on everything in this life. So I decided that I need to focus on going to school to further my studies after matric. So I did an introspection, then that is when and where I realized that I had the power of words, and that is poetry, and which I realized the year my grandmother passed on, because by the time she passed on, I was busy what is this, once again, I busy at UNITRA at the time. It's now called WUSU. So I went...
University of the Transkei?
Yes.
Now before, it's called Walter Sisulu?
Yes, before they changed it.
Sure.
About to WUSU, to study law. So when I was about to register, I received a call that the old lady is no more. I left her the Thursday, and then the Monday, actually I didn't have a phone. When I called, I was told that she was no more. Then I decided, okay, let me just quit everything to do with school and go and focus, you know, in terms of her land and everything else that she owned, you know. But then, you know, when you lose loved ones, there's always going to be those family dynamics. Everyone is better, and all those things. And then I went home, that's Yeki School that year, and focused on the things. But things, and then from there, I decided that, okay, there's a lady called Bongeka Fundisa. She was a student at a school called Stegspread Christian School.
Yeah.
In Stegspread, she invited me to, what is this thing, an estate fort that they usually host a Stegspread Christian School then. I think it was around 2004, if I'm not mistaken. So I went there, and then she was like, I must assist her to write a poem. And then I said, no, I'm not a poet. She was like, no, man. Her cousin sister had a 21st the year before that. So my brothers were creatives. So they invited my brothers to attend the 21st birthday.
Yeah.
So she received expensive beds, blah, blah, blah. So my brothers created jewelry boxes. I just created something where I wrote. So apparently the lady appreciated my writing more than everything she received. So that's how Bongeka got to identify that I'm a poet.
Yeah.
Then I assisted her to write something, and then she also said, no, you're also invited to come and share a piece. So then I wrote a piece, then I went to perform at the Estate Fort, and then I got is it a distinction?
Yeah.
I got an A+, you know, for poetry. And then later, because I had no means to go to a varsity, you know, so I decided, okay, and I didn't have the sponsorship I was going to get that year when my grandmother passed on. Then I decided, okay, you know what, let me just do introspection, okay, poetry, go to schools. And I love schools a lot because one of the reasons I love school is the space where my creativity and individuality almost got raped by the system, you know. So I would go to schools. Some schools you get principals who understand that, okay, I would love to share some poetry, you know, to your learners during assembly and stuff like that. So certain schools would afford me that platform. So when they appreciate the poetry, I would be like, I'll speak to the headmaster to say, okay, when I come back, is it possible, you know, for your learners to, let's say, contribute 100, those who can.
Yeah.
1 rand, 2 rands, you know, twice, because I'm raising funds for me to be at school the next year, you know, to do my information technology diploma. Then there's a school that remains my highlight from those schools in East London, which is East London Science College. The owner of the school, who has turned to be my client now in terms of the multimedia services I offer, you would give me the platforms, I get the money. Sometimes you would also give me money to raise for me to get to school. So basically that's how I got to be a varsity, to study information technology. And then I raised the money by myself. And after raising those, going to say it's a WUSU, doing my IT for the first year, I was also shocked about how I got to be registered. With money I raised from art form, it's not taken serious until this day in South Africa. Then an idea came that how about create performance platforms for others. But now the disadvantage is that I did not know any poets around East London. So I had to come with a creative idea as to how am I going to do all of this. Then I realized, let me run a competition. So if I run a competition, I'll be able to identify poets in the area. Then I'm able to run weekly sessions. back in East London. So I approached a lady called Sandra Chiro. She owned a place, and TC Chiro, they owned a place called Imbizo. It was hot back in the day in East London, in the Quickney. Then, fortunately for me, Sandra was open. She gave me the venue. Then I started the session. Initially, when I did my first competition, is that my first one was going to be at the place called East London City Hall. And I booked the venue 3 months in advance. And then 3 days before the event, the venue got cancelled. Guess what? Guess why?
Politicians?
It's obvious. It's for a council meeting.
Sure.
So that was my first project. It was sabotaged by government, a claimer to empower and develop the youth.
Yeah.
And one of the key motivating factors was that our government thinks for us. They don't think with us.
Yeah.
So now by creating that platform, we wanted them to think with us and to see how we prefer to do these things.
Sure.
So after they did that, what happened is they changed the venue to a venue that was far, a Cambridge Town Hall.
Yeah.
And it was in the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. So I took the venue because I don't believe in cancelling events. So I went to Cambridge, did the show, and then Mr Hastings Mqhayi, this gentleman right here, that's where I met him. He saw the story, and at the time he was an official for the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
Yeah.
So he came to see the event because it was trending.
Sure.
So that's how I actually got to know him, and after knowing him, I was able to we built a strong relationship, because as I was I was designing most calendars because I love creativity for the SRC and stuff like that. So I would always go to his office to say, look at my work, this is what I've done, for the school. And he'll be like, when are you designing for the department? Challenges. And I'll be like, I don't know how to go about designing for the department. So he used to have 2 phones, the office in Yak. And then whenever he would like, okay, let us call the head office and he would like take the second phone. And I'll hear everything about the conversation. And then he'll call communication like, hey man, there's an artist in the office. He's a graphic designer. He would love to design a calendar. What is the process? And they were like, no, the tender is already out, so we can't design. So we would always persuade them to say, but okay, if it's out, it's fine. How about the artist designs, and then you compare the designs, and then maybe you can continue with your tender. Then they were convinced, and then that is the first time I got to design a calendar for the province, which somewhat became a part of my profile. So if I say I design something for a government, it makes things easier for me. So basically, the slight background I'm giving you is just to show you where everything actually started in terms of poetry and where it has actually opened doors for me. And then I did the sessions at Imbizo, and then the sessions continued. And then in 2006, there was a group, a WUSU called Uncensored Movement. It was made up of guys like Ontutu Daza, Siabulela Chichana, and Sbusiso Mba, Ospelele. These guys invited me. They used to attend my sessions in Bizo, and they invited me to be a guest poet. So I went there. When I got there, that's where I got to meet. I know we'll talk about it later. That's where I met Zahara, Spinach back then.
Sure.
A platform. It was happening on Sundays around 6 p.m. at Postem.
Uncensored?
It was called Uncensored Movement.
Uncensored Movement.
That's where Zahara's history starts, but also with Managego in terms of the records,
Sure.
Yeah, so Uncensored Movement. And then now, because I was doing a lot of graphic works for the SRC of the time, so whenever they come to me, I'll always know that there's an event coming up. So I'll always convince them to make use of artists, within the institution, and then I'll give them names. So now that is how people like your Zaharas and many others will get to be invited to perform Komaspala and all these different platforms, because now when there's Miss Wusu and the likes, obviously there's people from different spaces. Then that's where they get to see these artists that are performing on our platforms. So after I've recommended her, I invited her to my platforms. I've even toured the province with her before the fame. And I even took her to my hometown, which is Texprate, even I think the year before they had Fame, a big break in the industry. So, yeah, that is basically how this session came about, and the vision for starting them. I always believe when I start something, I must get a result. The vision for starting those sessions was that, number one, I want artists to learn how to self-sustain and be able to generate money to finance the lifestyle, just like I was able to get to Varsity, the way I did in terms of raising funds, using poetry by being creative. And then, because I believe you cannot face an audience of 20,000 people without facing 10 people. And now, and also you can never get the inspiration to create new content if you don't have an audience to present that content for. And then I continue doing these platforms, and there's many other artists who were part of the platforms I used to create back in East London. And the interesting part, and what kept me going at the time, there was another guy, a good friend of mine, turned into a good friend of mine, called Tembale Tumacholweni, well known as Lucky's. He's a presenter for Mqhayi. So Lucky's heard about what I was doing, and ultimately wanted to manage. And remember, I said it was a challenge, and I never managed anybody before. I'm like, no, I'll take the challenge. But I was like, okay, he's a celebrity. He's known by people, so the job is going to be very light for me, which was not the case. I had to source gigs for him. And do all these things for him and stuff like that. So by that time, after he proposed that I manage him, that is when I realized that I had an advantage now, because he was running a show called Imbongizengini, and that show was running it illegally. That's how we call it. Because apparently the station was not comfortable with unknown artists to be played on national radio, because they believe that they are not trending, they don't have traction, and of which those ones, they were speaking life into our lives, and Ulakis was like, the argument was that, okay, if we play songs like Kulula and stuff like that, in 5 years' time, where will those people of Kulula be? Versus these people who speak about the realities that we face on the ground on a daily basis, And then, from there, as I was like managing him, I got to learn a lot of other things. That, number one, the importance of separating issues. I'll make an example. Since when I was managing him, I had access to his Facebook account, and I had access to his email, just about everything, his social media stuff. So now I had to learn to imitate his style of writing.
Jeez.
So that if you know him and you write to him, you must not doubt that it's like he's
writing. It's him that's responding.
Yeah. So that experience is actually something in Pilangayo to this day, And I think that is the background. And because I come in, but the motivation for the grassroots was based on that. And then many artists got to be discovered by bigger platforms who could do better stuff that we did not have the capacity to do. Because what I could do was to create a platform and give them inspiration, give them hope that these things are possible. Let
me go one step at a time. I'd like to take a moment, man, to thank Umakulu for what she did in investing in you.
Okay.
There's a lesson to be learned for many of us in a situation where parents make a child, the child is born and the mother moves on to someone else. And it becomes a very deep conversation, because back in the day, and what we do traditionally is that umama would leave the child with umakulu, is standard when she moves on. This is to ensure that there's no friction between your mom and your dad. If your dad wants to see you for whatever reason, you're in a neutral space.
Yes.
Today we've got issues like co-parenting that I've had to deal with. I've spoken about it on social media. And a part of it is because the child is with umama. And if ever umama's kambuchatile with a new man, they might have their own way of doing things and you struggle to see your child. For the fact that we have so many grandmothers and many times we don't celebrate our grandfathers as well, that raised these children who were born out of marriage and where the parents moved on. Just to Makhulu Wako, I just want to say thank you for the work that she did, and the way you speak about her sounds very beautiful. She's from Sterkspreid.
Yes.
When you speak about the land, going back, figuring out your life, you speak about Sterkspreid.
Sterkspreid, yes.
Okay.
Dangerous Hook, to be exact.
Dangerous Hook.
Yeah.
So I wanna appreciate that. Another conversation that we don't speak about enough. I mean, we're recording this while the matrics are writing their exams, which are finishing, I think, on the 28th of November. We speak about it, but it's not deep. The story of what are children going to do after matric if they don't have money for tertiary, if they don't have a plan. A lot of the children after matric, they lie. No, I'm just waiting. I'm taking a gap year. No, I'm just waiting for my funds. But they're lying. Some of them end up moving to extended family so that they can hide. Some of them actually stay in their same kasi, but they stay indoors that first year or those 2 years and pretend like they're somewhere else. And not enough people are honest about, I don't have a plan after matric and what options are out there. You are planning to do an LLB. You'll obviously later on do information technology, as you said. The ability to introspect is something that is underrated. I don't know where you get it from. Maybe it's genetic. But the ability to introspect and the fact that you creatively, not something you studied, not something you were trained for, using your creativity at a 21st, being seen, which now becomes, I think, one of the themes of your life. The having platforms showing your talent and someone seeing you. It would happen to you, of course, with Tussis Bongega. It would happen with Spinash, of course, being seen by TS Records and the like.
Yes.
And something that I can tell you even now, never mind when you were doing it. Even now, people will tell you there's no money in poetry. And you are saying, I went to schools and I said, even 1 rand, even 2 rand is fine.
Yes.
And that ends up finding data at, you said East London Science College.
Yeah, Mr. Pius Thomas, the owner of the school.
Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, he owns 2 schools there. I think it's, and what, the other one, it's a newly established
Sure.
one.
But the ability to also, again, platform. Because you're performing at schools, not just at a 21st, at schools, someone sees the talent and is willing to invest. But you're also not satisfied. You're like, it's not just about me. It's about everyone else.
Yes.
And you'd go to the efforts of creating a platform in the form of competition. You know, we've always loved competitions as Otaki. We don't have enough talent competitions. Sometimes people don't want a prize. Sometimes people just want a platform. That's all. And things like Stedford, where you'd end up getting a distinction, whether it's a double gold, triple gold, those become the things that actually give children that inspiration to become something better. Then we fast forward, of course, from there, going to Iwusu, meeting the guys that created the Uncensored movement, having people like Ospinash come through. And maybe that'll be my first question to you. The amount of talent you've seen on platforms, whether it was at Cambridge, whether it was Ewusu, thanks to the work of the SRC also putting you on, as a graphic designer and the guys at Uncensored. How important has that been? How much talent have you seen? And outside of being found by a TS Records, what other options do kids, it could be Ewusu, it could be NMMU, it could be Rhodes, it could be any of the institutions, maybe even high schools in the Eastern Cape. What advice would you give to them?
Hey, I think, when it comes to the arts, in terms of my experience, people want spotlight. People want microwave success in the entertainment. And now I believe nobody gets to develop an artist only for the artist to be killed by the dynamics of the industry. Which is the case in terms of Bulelwa. Yeah. So meaning from the background that I've given you in terms of my inspiration of what I was looking for artists, I did not look into the importance of preparing an artist for fame.
But you also didn't know, right?
Yes, no, that's what
everyone was learning at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did not know that. Now that I know, and then I look and also trying to gravitate towards your question, is that it's very tough to even give advice. Because now, for instance, if people are not prepared for fame, all they're good at is their talents.
Yeah.
And also as part of the competition that I ran, after I got the pain of losing somebody I believed in so much, which is Ubulelo, through the entertainment and what she's been through, background. And if you WhatsApp what I send you, she always fought with me about me loving being on the background. I love the background because that's where I get my strength. Because I believe life for me, unlike the rest of the people, life is supposed to be an inside-out game, not an outside-in. What I mean by that is I must not wear what I have inside and for you to recognize, but this is what I have.
Okay.
Instead, what I have inside must come out through the products that I create through my works and my strengths and capabilities of making things happen, you know. So basically, it becomes tough now that it's important that even quiz competitions that I'm running, maybe that can be the advice. I would rather get people to be the ones to make things happen for themselves. And then I just become an instrument and a vessel that they can utilize to make their own dreams come true.
For support.
Let me make an example. I ran a poetry competition, putting something to test, a national competition, but that also spreads across neighboring countries because there is this strong notion that you need to be in Joburg to make things happen, you need to be in Cape Town. So I have identified the problem, understood the problem, and tried to apply possible solutions to the problem by inviting different poets to the Eastern Cape. And my intention was clear that when I bring you here, if you're a celebrity, I'm not a groupie, but I want you to actually invite these artists. You must come and experience them. Invite them on your platforms. And then nobody did that. Then I came with solution 2. Solution 2 was like, okay, let me run this. I'll do it in the Eastern Cape. And then it's compulsory to come to the Eastern Cape for everyone. So they would come from these different countries, that is Swaziland, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, all 9 provinces. They go and compete in the Eastern Cape. Now I give them challenges. You know, the challenge would be to enter, it's a certain amount to enter the competition, to show commitment, and to show that if you don't invest in something that you claim to love, nobody's going to make it happen for you. And then now, if, for instance, I take like the 3 top winners, I also have a social media because as an artist, you need to appeal to all the senses on all different platforms. Some of those who come from rich families, they believe, okay, competitions, people come with SMSs, you know, and then they've got the money, they're going to pay off and win. So now I knew that I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do a Facebook one. Then I monitor the Facebook. Each one must have, for instance, 10 people to share. Each individual must share their promotional posters 10 times a day. Now, what I was trying to instill with that is they must learn to communicate, reach out to people. So when they do more than 10, I'll always remind them, what's up, your people? This contact has actually shared your picture more than 20 times. Please talk to your person. Otherwise, you'll be disqualified. So now that is to instill that communication aspect so that they're able to learn that they need to interact with people. Because for me, in this life, the highest currency is not money, it's not assets. The highest currency in life is people. And in order for you to live in this life, you need people. And then from there, you'll see that they lose. So the first stage, which is the preliminary stage, they have to make travel arrangements by themselves to get to the venue. And then I only finance the top ones to attend, and the top ones comes from the social media. And then if I have the top 3, then I add 5 more. Then each one of them must ensure that 20 people buy. Even if you stay in Gauteng, you must ensure that you get 20 people to buy tickets at 150 per person, even if they're not there.
That's work.
The idea behind that is like, if you're a poet, that's how you learn for you to be able to organize your own show. Because now, we as organizers, we are always told that, I know you must come, must pay me, blah, blah, blah. You must bring your audience so that I can see that you are really dope as you claim to be. So people who perform at my platforms, they know. You bring your own audience. I'm not gonna set up a venue for you, bring your sound system. You don't know what I go through behind closed doors.
Yeah.
The only thing you have is talent. Organizing is also talent. Who's paying me?
Yeah.
I understand why this may sound controversial to many, but that is why a lot of artists are not getting anywhere.
Correct.
Because now all they do is like you invite them. I see a lot of them in the Eastern Cape. Let's say Penuel is having a show. They don't even post your poster because they are so pompous.
Sure.
They feel like they're happening. Instead of actually pushing, you and also pushing themselves. So that they become visible.
So that even when the audience comes, they're screaming more for them than for me, to show that this is actually my crowd.
Definitely.
You might be headlining, Baba, but it's actually my fan base.
Definitely, yes. Yeah. So basically that's how it happened, and it has proven to work, because in 2020 I did another installment. Initially I used to take artists across South African festivals, and the purpose for me was to create a national network for them. But now you see that modern day artists, and just like modern day people, they like to be babysitted, and I don't believe in that. So people must learn to make things happen for themselves.
Sure.
So it has proven to work, because there's a guy and a lady who won in 2020, but we could not travel due to the COVID. So in 2022, we traveled to London. It's not me who made it happen for them. I'm just an instrument for them to actually go abroad. The other guy is an electrician for Aspen. And then the other lady is an accountant. Now, if you can ask one question, has accounting ever taken overseas? Has the electrical space taken this guy, he's in PE, in East London. Did electrical engineering take him abroad? No. It's his talent.
Yeah.
So I'm just an instrument. So that is basically what is happening, man, in Eastern Cape, that artists, both generally, they don't want to do anything. Like in artists,
it's not just artists. All South Africans, for some reason, to what you said, want to be babysat and spoon-fed. And you're coming with a different model. I'm even thinking of idols. If there's one of the things that's lacking, and that's why most of the contestants disappear after the show. They are not put through an aggressive workshop to say you will build your own base, so that after Idols is done, you can go start hosting your own shows and putting your things together. The only thing maybe they do is a bit of PR and then performing, mic management, looking pretty, styling, but it's not how do I build myself into a real brand so I can go out there, even if I'm not big, and actually go and be an independent artist.
Yeah, basically, that is basically what I tried. How it has proven that it worked. When Sliz came back from London, he organized.
Please give their names slowly.
Siliziwe Chako.
Siliziwe Chako.
Yes, from it's called Sliz SA.
Sliz SA.
Yes, he's a
and then the lady.
Package. Nolubabalo Ngwanya.
Nolubabalo Ngwanya.
Yeah, she's from Tanzania, East London.
Okay, that's her stage name as well.
Yeah, Nolu.
Nolu is a stage name.
Nolu, yes.
Okay.
So when they came back from England, so what happened is he organized a show called Uhambo Lomuhambi. The show, he had 100 tickets. The show was sold out at 100 rands per person.
Brilliant.
So I was excited at least to see that what I was actually trying to put them through actually worked. But now lots of poets, they would have doubts. Well, okay, this is a scam. You always have people who are ready to have smear campaigns against our programs. And I know who is responsible behind all those smear campaigns, which is one of the assets that are destroying the progress of the arts. And those are the people I call comrade artists. You can't be an artist and then sit with politicians and then think that you are going to develop anything, because politics and government projects only exist on papers, on memorandums. So now I happen to have been to wrong meetings by mistake of the government, whereby I got to discover that we as independent innovators, we come across as competitors against the state. And the reason why we are seen as competitors is because what we do is visible to the public. And what they claim to do only exists on papers. They only channel monies to their friends' pockets and then take minutes and take people's names for what they do. They'll go for meetings.
Sure.
And then
The
they
register,
then people fill. So what?
Sign.
Yeah. Then what they do, they take those documents, and after taking them, and then so now they will remove our posters. They will remove a lot of our things. They're trying to sabotage our programs. So now, and in the better, I think there's these groupings. Almost as an artist.
Sure, my clicks.
Yeah, as an artist, I believe, but we are supposed to be individuals.
Yeah.
Before you become part of a group, you must realize that if you don't actually put your God-given talent to life, it's not the group that you're part of that's going to suffer. It's you. And if you don't invest in your art by paying money, because your life is more important than money.
Yeah.
So the model that I actually employ in my program, it's a model that has worked for me. Because when I wrote To Be Black, the idea was that because I do not want to complain about the fact that we don't have black artists prescribed in the syllabus. So now there's a great artist that I've seen who has done exceptional work in the country. And so Tina Sisazama, where are we going to reach Mr Hastings Mqhayi, level, you don't find anything, we archives of the department that is working for. A claimer to nurture, to archive imisebenzi artists is great. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So now, because I wanted to do lectures, I had to be creative, because I wanted to introduce this in terms of those who are prescribing books to be taught in schools. So I wanted to go overseas. So now I had to sit down and think, how do I achieve this goal of going overseas? Then I started making proposals with universities to actually conduct lectures around this book and the works of these artists.
Yeah.
The idea being that when I connect with these professors, they actually know people abroad. Then after my presentation, I was sure, okay, I'll do the proper presentation. Then I'll request them to assist me with contacts abroad where I can actually go and lecture on this project. So fortunately, I went to Rhodes in 2013, got invited by Prof. Russell Kashula. He's with UWC now. So, and then he linked me up with some professors.
UWC, the University of the Western Cape?
Yes, he works there now.
Sure.
Then after that, just to show you the model, that how it worked for me, the one that I'm introducing with programs. So what I did, he gave me contacts. I wrote proposals there. And then there was this guy, one called Andre Mostert. He was working for the University of East London at the time. He was like, yes, this is an interesting subject. I would love to host you at the University of East London. But unfortunately, these things require funding, and there's no funding, but we can try and see what we can do. And I was like, because this is important to me, I was like, since there's no funding in place, and I've got this burning desire, with me now, what can you offer?
Yeah.
And then so that I can see what I can do on my end. He was like, no, I can offer you in-country travel expenses, daily allowance in terms of food, etc., etc. Then I was like, well and good. I created a donation form. Then I went around Stakespret, and then ndacela abantu, number one, because ndazama unansi ndifuna ithatha ngesintu le ingathula ngesilungu bava amaqhinga wami. Bandibhene next time. So into endayenzayo.
Oh, we're going into the secret language, Baba.
Yeah.
Of the indigenous people.
Yeah, into endayenzayo, into yafika kumndaya kukhona omnye ugqirha wamehlo okuthiwa nguDr. Henrik Nzula, wayene practice yakhe eStakespret. So ndaya kuye because he was close to me. Ndathi kuye, doc, ndinale project endifuna uyenza phesheya, uyabona, and ikhona indawo willing ukunihosta. I'm here to ask for your assistance. And they asked, but it's very sensitive stuff that I require from you, but please help me out. And this is just a formality. Akho nto zawuyenza wena, yebo. So ndacela kuye abhale ileta ethi uzandibhatalela inantsika i-costs zami zowela. Uzandibhatalela accommodation, yonke into siyasebenzisana mna naye, ntontoni, yebo. Laa nto kwakuyi-formality wena ufumane nje ivisa. Ngoba xa kunothathwa from ezam i-documents, I wouldn't qualify, because ukuya phesheya is easy. Eyona nto enzima i-visa.
Yeah.
The most difficult part i-visa.
Yeah.
Hey, unfortunately for me, Dr. Henrik Nzula, were able to release his company documents, his statements.
Yeah.
Release even his personal salary, what for the embassy. Yeah, one just as for a formality, because in order for Windows NZ.
Yeah.
And then on the side, I got the visa. And then when I was applying for a visa, there's a donation form there. I believe abandu, there are people who are ready to get abandu abathethayo. Abandu abancedakala because abathethi bane pride. That's why abaninzi besithi bane depression kodwa impakamo nje yoba umuntu angakufuna uthetha because ukuzincedakala ufuna ukuthetha. Uyabona?
Ask and you shall receive.
Yes.
Number one. There's also that thing of ingani fell embelekweni. The child who's not crying will die of hunger inside. Yeah.
No. Yeah, so I created a donation form around Stegspruit, and there were certain doctors in the area, namely Dr. Lisa, Dr. Titus, and many other doctors.
These people all knew you?
No, but is this guy, Dreads.
Who does what?
Designing, graphic designing.
They know that?
Yeah, they know that.
Because this is important. That you're speaking about people being a currency.
Yeah.
And as much as people are a currency, you yourself, you spoke about self-belief.
Yes.
You yourself must be a currency that people see value in before they do things like donate or sign or be willing to put their documents and names on forms.
But at the time, I didn't become that strong in terms of bandas, in terms of umsebenzi.
Sure.
But I reached out to as an ordinary person that they did not really know that much.
Yeah.
Dr. Nzula because there's certain works I was doing for him. Than abanye. So now I was able to raise 15,000 within 5 days. That's
It's crazy.
15,000.
And people don't know Sterkspruit. That's quite a poor, I don't know if you'd call it a town, close to a village in the Eastern Cape. And for people to be able to raise that money in 5 days is crazy. Yeah,
I raised 15,000. So again, if I was able to raise 15,000 within 5 days, why are that I'm inviting to my projects not able to do that?
To raise 2,000 rand in a month.
Let's say 2,000 rands to travel to and from East London.
Yeah.
To go and perform there for something that you strongly believe in.
Yeah.
Abanye, I give them hints. So that's where it came from. So that is how I got to gain my independence and freedom. In terms of how I finance some of the programs that I do. Because if I'm doing a project, I don't rely on the sales of the event. I rely on ideas that, okay, fine, I'm going to go to Penuel now. Mr. Penuel, this is what I need now. Can you give me a project to design this and this at so much? Then I take Mali, I save them up for me to be able to honor my obligation. So, that is basically where this whole thing came from.
So Spinach became famous as Uzahara. She's now an icon. May she rest in peace, but she'll forever be in the history books.
Yes.
I'd like you to give me, if possible, maybe 3 to 5 names of other very talented people that went through either the Uncensored movement or other platforms you've had that maybe they've gone on to work or they're unknown. That if ever there's a record label out there or if ever there's a platform out there, you're like, these 3 or 5 people, they were just not discovered, but these are some of the most talented people I've ever seen.
As for me, ebantwini nkenda sebenza nabo ne. Even quick case Zahara, I've been avoiding it for the longest time.
Sure.
Because if you can look at my stories, whether on press or on the internet, you'd always see Zahara's name. And the thing is this, I did not really want to live under the shadow. Yes, success Zahara.
Sure.
Not that I'm being pompous or anything of that sort. When I'm creating platforms, I'm teaching people the importance of helping other people create space where you are able to assist a band, right? So there's a lot of artists in Sevenzena, so as famous today. And again, I strongly believe that as much as I love to be in underground, if you don't acknowledge my vision, if you don't acknowledge my platforms, they are finding out in Sky or Bangai or something like that. So how I even got, there's an artist that I'm not going to name. She's very big. Bega wagwi show Mekji. Yeah. And then Wagepayana utethile ngejeni yakhe. And there's a portion where she spoke about one of ingoma zakhe. uyabona uba what happened ingomeni yakhe blah blah blah, and then waxoxa about the station that got to play ingoma yakhe. And knowing I keep records, but I don't keep records by maintaining backlash against artists, but in the nigga questions as to why do people lie. Like if you can see Zahara lied a lot and all those things about background yake. You understand? Ingati, this is something mhlambi manufacturer mainstream. That is why I said to you in Anzika that the mainstream entertainment space is actually killing our developmental strategies tina grounding, because we don't develop these young ones or these artists to be killed by the industry. So I remember, the thing is this, knowing people within the media space, I know a lot of producers. Some of them, they reach out to me. I want to finish story. I wanted to say, okay, man, I need to so. The reason I'm saying is the highest currency, because I know lots of people, different industries. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll give you someone. I reach out to Lamdo. So there's a lady that I really have to mention. She used to work for SAFM. She used to be a producer there to Utsulu, Pilu. But I think I don't know, she's not with SAFM now.
Okay.
But now I met her through this book. A lot of these people, I met them through this book. And then since that day, we continued engaging.
To be black.
Yeah, to be black. Since to be black. And then from there, I would give her stories, for her shows. She was doing 3 shows. There's one for literature and all those things. So many of these celebrities, some of them are featured in programs, Gatsulu, and many others. Because, for me, when there's a sense of hope that one can share for people, I become excited. So now, if the industry gets them to lie about their background, I can't come here and mention their names. But there's many of them.
So don't mention the famous ones. I want to speak pure talent.
Oh, so pure talent.
People that you're like, okay, there's these.
If they
people.
Could come here, sure.
Not even come here. If ever someone discovered them, if ever they're still making art.
There's a guy called Odwa. Odwa Macholweni.
Singer, poet.
He sings
rapper.
Afro soul.
Okay.
Afro soul.
Odwa?
Macholweni. Yeah, he's from Human Stop.
Okay.
That guy is powerful.
Okay.
And then there is Ebanins, man.
Anyone that comes to mind.
Okay. And then I'm going to figure out there's a guy called Sobs. Yeah, rapper.
Okay.
That guy is dangerous.
Rapper is closer.
Rapper is closer and English and also.
Okay.
And then there's a guy called Yakim, the master builder.
Yakim, the master builder.
Yeah, he's from PE.
Okay.
Those are people. And then lastly, I get my all-time favorite, Abantu. There's a guy called Abantu. Abantu is silent, with talent, yes.
Yeah.
Abantu is dangerous. I'll share some songs, but he's my number one.
Yeah.
Abantu from PE.
Abantu.
Yeah, that's his name. He calls Abantu stands raps. That guy is powerful. And there's many others, but those are the ones that are coming to mind. And then another one, there's a guy, that guy is a good friend of mine now.
Yeah.
These people are from performing on my platform, turned into my friends.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Sipho
Mqhayi.
Yes, he's a guitarist.
Mqhayi,
yes.
Is that Umsuthu? Sipho Mqhayi.
No, Mqhayi.
Mqhayi.
Yeah, Sipho Mqhayi.
Okay.
That guy is dangerous. I can tell you now.
He's dangerous on the guitar.
Even on the vocals. Please discover that guy. That guy is powerful. I will mention, Uzahar, Umsaki, Operita, Ubusiswa. Some of the people I know came from the Eastern Cape. Space, shows that we used to do in East London. All of them, and Penuel up.
We're all children here to this guy.
No, you've got to listen. Sipho.
Yeah. So is that a phone?
It's my phone.
No, please, you can pick it up. It's fine.
Yeah. Sipho Mqhayi is the guy.
Thank you.
Sipho, I'm telling you. That guy, I think I don't know how to sing, but I've got an ear for good music.
Yeah.
And that guy, to show you that he was really good, he was part of a group called Wise Fools. So the other guy, Useko Pami, was playing in Nansiki violin. And that is the guy who's this guy, Sipho Stol,
Yes.
actually took to come with Native Rhythms. He was
Okay.
one. So that guy was a member with Sipho.
Jeez, Dr. Sipho Stole.
Yes.
Native Rhythms.
Yes.
A legend in his own right.
Yes.
Okay. I want to speak about the flag. I want to speak about Mr. Hastings Mqhayi. And
Okay.
then, if time permits, we'll touch on... No, we'll speak. But the most important thing is South Africa and the rest of the African continent have got a lot of raw talent. One of the things I have said to people is our greatest wealth on the African continent are not the minerals.
Definitely.
It's actually the people. It's our culture. It's our stories. It's our music. It's our art. It's our dance. It's our fashion. But because it has not been categorized by the people that run the money world in a way that suits them, it sits idle. And the people that are meant to create the platforms, whether you call them government or the private sector and businesses, and to your point, ourselves, shout out to Uladuma in Maxhosa, just to believe in yourself and to say, I know what I have here is wealth. It's more valuable than gold, and I will travel around the whole world, Dr. Esther Mahlangu, Huma Segela, Mamiria Makeba, etc. And I want the world to see this wealth that I have that is more valuable than gold and diamonds. We'll speak about how to unearth and the importance of creating platforms not to be signed, not to move to Gauteng or Ekapa or eThekwini or even New York or Los Angeles, but to be able to build structures where Lady Smith, Black Mambas, or maybe other people can be wealthy even where they are.
Yeah.
And just travel to perform, but then come back to Imonti, Sterkspruit, Gqeberha, and other places. The flag and to be black.
Okay. After I visited Mr. Mqhayi's place, okay, how it all started, right? It's like during our conversations, when I visit him in office in Yak, I'll be like, after he got me the gigs, to do the calendar for the province of Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. So I'll show him my work, and then we discuss about the satisfaction you get, when you see your work. And he'll be like, yo, it's also the satisfaction I get when I watch SATU people, in protest, stuff like that, So, and then I ultimately went to his place, and where I saw, you can see in the book, there's paintings there that he created during apartheid times, which was a very harsh moment for him as an artist. So
he was an artist who ended up having to get into government and politics and that type of admin work.
Yeah, when you are good, that's what they do. They will take you to silence you and give you a salary. So I think that's what they did with him. You will see on that book when you have time. So after I got to know the work that he has done, actually I've seen the work. I'm like, yes, this is brilliant work that he has done. And he's a very private person. That is why even to write the book, let me start with the process. So for me, I'm a man of gratitude. I believe that Mr. Penuel, with his podcast, can make me move 500 steps forward. Yeah. But if you were able to make me move 0.1, for me, that is important.
Yes, that's
because it's not compulsory for you to make me move those steps because of your capacity. So that is what I believe in. So after I realized the impact Mr. Mqhayi had in my life as an artist, and the fact that he was able to pull certain strings for me, engandas. Because I don't want people to think that there was a relationship before the relationship. There was no relationship. It was just...
He came to your competition, your poetry competition in Cambridge?
In Cambridge.
That was the first time you guys met?
Yes, that's how we got to go to his office and then got to have conversations such as the one I mentioned about the satisfaction of seeing your work and blah, blah, blah. So as part of my gratitude for him, I was thinking, what can I do after I saw his work? What can I do to actually show my gratitude to this man? And then I realized that, okay, how about I raise money, give him money? I'm like, this guy's got money. He's a deputy director. So what if I do this? I'm like, man, this is not going to work. And then if I, like, let's say, raise money, maybe buy me a car because I love cars. But still, this guy, he's actually driving the latest cars, you know. Mm-hmm. So a car is useless, money is useless, you know. Then I thought of a documentary. Okay, what's important? It's important to document his works because we need to have people as black people, as our referral Nati in future, not abantu abafileyo that cannot speak for themselves. And I believe that we need to actually go to people, humble ourselves, sifuna information of the things we want to achieve. Then I proposed from him and said, Mr. Mqhayi, I've seen your work. I'd like us to do a documentary. And the gentleman is a very brilliant man. And you'll just say one thing. Yeah, I'm looking over 6 months or a year on how I'm going to answer that. Because really, you would say the reason why I created these works is because I didn't have words for these works. So artist, I respect your interest to document my works, but I can't speak. Okay, fine, I go for 6 months, come back. It makes sense, Mus. When I come back, it's like, you know what? When you say I must speak about my works, it's like saying I must relive the pain of the time when I created them. And I'm not in a position for me to go through that route. As much as I respect what you say you want to do. So if you were me, how would you continue with that? Because what Mr. Mqhayi was saying was very, very, very important, and it makes a lot of sense. Not because he was denying me the opportunity to document his works. And then time passed on. It took me 5 years to convince him. And the last straw was when I said to him, you know what, you are working for the Department of Arts and Culture. We don't find your works in the same archive of the same department you're working for. So you don't lead by example. And it's important that you lead by example.
Reverse psychology.
Oh, is that reverse psychology?
That's reverse psychology.
Yeah, no. So I told him, and then I told him, like I was worked out at the time, and I told him that you are very selfish.
You're a librarian, but you've never written a book.
Definitely. Yeah, so like you are very selfish. But then and then I had to convince him. I was like, you know what? I understand what you are saying, but I think now you have a lot of pain that is contained within you.
Yeah.
So this exercise is going to actually assist you and become like a form of a debriefing session for you, and also for you to actually release those intense emotions that you went through during that time, and the works that, and your works that have been stolen, you know, by certain individuals. Then he gave me a go ahead. So after I found out about the fact that he designed the SATU logo, he coordinated the Eastern Cape coat of arms, you know, and he actually created, he designed the grave Kanzigane, the Grand Tsigane, the prophet. He also designed, I don't know if the grave of the statue of S.E.K. Mqhayi, the late, but it is nowhere in the history books. So what I did after I heard about the SATU logo, I went to Google to see if I'm going to find his name, because you remember that's where we get the information. Yeah. Then we'll see some artists, like some people like your Frederick Penuel, the gentleman who is said to have been the designer of the South African flag, you know. So
What's his name?
Frederick Penuel.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the guy who is said to be the designer of the flag.
Okay. The current South African flag.
Yeah, the current, yeah. So I after I Googled, I took what I saw on the internet, like, no, I don't find you on the internet. What can you do in order for this to be recorded in history so that people know that you've done these works? And then I said, the people I find on the internet is guys like this who have designed the South African flag. And I was like, who designed the South African flag? I'm saying Bronan. It didn't take me serious. Like, no, man, I designed the South African flag. You know? Because Mr. Mqhayi is very cool, man. And sometimes you would not even believe him because the way he takes his indoor simple and casual. And like, no, I designed the flag. So, but then it was not an issue for me, you know, the fact that somebody else says that he designed the flag. Yeah. And but all I wanted to do was to actually document his works.
Yeah.
And then in the process...
All of this is a gift of gratitude.
Yes, it's on my end.
I want to say thank you. I can't buy you a car, do anything extravagant. This is a gift. But not only is it a gift to you, it would be a gift to the country, to the people of the Eastern Cape and for future generations.
And the country, actually, the world, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I started writing the book, and the book was written SMSs. I'll tell you what happened. I wrote the book, Mr Hastings Mqhayi, in East London.
Okay.
So I saw that. So after I've shown him that, he gave me the background of how he designed the flag and stuff like that, but I didn't take it serious. So I wrote the book in bits and pieces. So before I left for Hastings Mqhayi and before I actually wrote the book, and what actually triggered me to write the book, in 2009, I was commissioned by the Provincial Department of Sport, Arts and Culture to design their wall calendar for the province. I designed the one which Mr. Mqhayi convinced them, and then my design won in 2008. So after they've seen my work, they even commissioned me to design branding and do invitation templates for MPs for Nelson Mandela's birthday in 2008. I think it was 90 or something like that.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so when they saw my work, and then now I got this gig. Design the calendar. Most normally when you design a calendar, before they do the mass production, they would print out a proof, which is a small design to show that there are no errors.
Yeah.
And then I went home to Alwa North. I was with my cousin. He was working for the Department of Arts and Culture, Bandile Magibili. And I was like, hey, to design a calendar. So I show him on the design. Hey, he's excited, that that's a span. He's going to say, design because for that one, 2008, all I requested, Mr. Mqhayi was insisting that they must pay me. I said, I don't want the money. All I wanted, and I just wanted to have something that I can put on my profile to get me more projects. So all I requested was for them to put my number. So that is how I got to be commissioned by the provincial department, including Owar Tambo municipality, to design banners for them, street banners. And then, fine, I do the calendar. While my cousin was excited about this whole thing, I was not excited. I wanted to see the end product.
Sure.
So ultimately, he said, no, the calendars are there. They are nice. When I went there, saw my calendar was a mess. They messed up my design, and I knew that it was deliberate. Because I was not aware about the concept of drink. That if you do work for the government, if they were honest with me, no, I drink, and then tell them my terms is a drink, because I cannot have money as I'm going to account then when you go to SARS, you must account. So I became worked out, and I wrote to communication. I had Dr. Vabaza at the time. I think Manzi Vabaza, something like that. So I requested a meeting with them to express my frustration around my work, because I believe that my artwork is vital prints that I live on the journey of life.
Yes.
So if you tamper with my work without consulting me, it's like removing those prints so that I may not be tracked by current and future generations. So they told me about the protocol does not allow blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, show me the proof. The proof does not have errors. How come the calendar in circulation has errors? It was clear that within these political frameworks, there are genuine politicians who want black people to actually do business, with the government. And then there are those who want to destroy us, to say, well, you see these black people of yours, this is the calendar that he has designed. Not knowing that time they wanted to drink, they could have said, man, they wanted to drink. I don't have issue with man. That's why I need to drink. I'm just saying drink. I can't even get terms. We must find a creative way on how I'm going to account for that money. Do you understand?
Sure.
Then that's when I decided, what, what they did, which I hate the most, what they did was, back in the day, a tender started from 30,000 upwards.
Okay.
And then 29,999 was called a project.
Okay.
So they would always tell me, okay, Bandile, this one is for you, this one is not for you. Just go to, so I like the transparency around that, but they were not transparent about drink. I didn't know, so I understand that later the drink part of things. Then now, instead of the department sitting down with me and show remorse for the error they've caused, instead they arranged some projects. I think there were around 4 projects, amounting 4 if not 5, around 120,000. You know what I did? I felt like I'm an underminer. They're undermining me. And they don't understand my pain, what my pain is in this whole situation. So I decided, what? let me go and sign the order form. Yeah, the procurement process in Zimanjan. That's sign as long as a procurement document. I switched off my phone, went back to Stakes Plate. The pull up and clock I wrote with black. And even up to this day, when they see me, they see this insane artist, don't understand it. So they wanted to use money to rectify the wrong that they've done, without sitting down for them to understand how I feel about my work. Because even if they can give me tenders worth millions, it's not going to change how I feel about what they've done to my work. And they don't ask me, how do I suggest that they rectify the problem at hand? Then maybe I was going to give them solutions on how they can solve it. You understand?
You never completed those orders, those projects they gave you?
I didn't do them. I just signed and left, switched off my phone. You see the number, I WhatsApp you with.
That's when they're going to say, black people's Banezama project, they don't deliver, can't they don't understand.
No, for them, I had an issue with them.
They knew.
So it was a statement that I was making to them.
So they'll pretend like they don't know and maybe blacklist you.
Yeah, but they can't, because I've seen even with my municipality, same municipality, and people try to avoid me and avoid Eki. That much I can say even on screen. Do you know why? This media space we are in, you can hate me, but you want work from graphic designers. They come to me, I do the work, they pay me my money. So when I go to these departments, there's lots of my work there. In case you didn't know, officials, departments is in. But when I buy that these tenderpreneurs, they come to me, I do work, they pay me, I eat their money. So they can try to avoid me, Shem.
Your skill is too good. People have to come back to you.
Yeah. So now during that era, it's like Mqhayi naye unemisebenzi yakhe eyabiwayo, you know, he designed covers, Ityala Lamawele, and many others of these prominent books of black artists, but they will scratch amagama wakhe and all those things. So now having that experience actually informed also part of me writing this book, apart from the gratitude part. So since my vision was to go abroad, I composed the book, finished it. After finishing the book, I started to do the lectures, and I was active on Facebook, talking about this book, talking about Satulog or flag, but the focus was never on the flag. So what happened is in 2019, Penuel passed on. And then when Penuel passed on, you know, Monsieur South African people, they are starting to praise him for being a great patriot. Let me start by this when I start with the flag. Frederick Penuel was a chairperson of the selection board, who was appointed by the state to actually receive designs from artists from 1993, from artists across South Africa, to create the new symbol for South Africa. He was the chairperson. Let us put that clear. Frederick Penuel was a chairperson of the selection board who was receiving flag designs from artists across South Africa. And according to the department's records or South African government, they say they received over 7,000 submissions from different artists. Penuel was the chairperson of the selection board. So now when I was going to schools, to universities, doing these lectures, I was writing about this thing. Then he passed on in 2019. Then the government was praising him for designing the flag, a great patriot, blah, blah, blah. Then it's people on social media who said, no, it's not Penuel who designed the flag. The person who designed the flag was Mr Hastings Mqhayi. And then they started to issue a statement. I think it was on an online publication called Open News or something like that. That Mqhayi must not be listened to. He does not even look like an artist. Because maybe so it was Mr Mqhayi, you know.
He must look like you with dreads and a bucket head. Here's a real artist.
Yeah, he's a real artist. He must be ugly like me. So he's not an artist. And then I think even the media people, I'm sure they went to a very intense briefing from the government. Because after that, there's one media outlet that I love so much, SAFM. They asked genuine questions, but they were not biased about the flag. And then the government said we must submit with the Office of the Herald, headed by a gentleman, or it was headed by a gentleman called Herald Themba Mabaso, the claim about the flag. Then we wrote about the flag and stuff like that. Guess what? The media practitioners, I'm sure, as part of their briefing, the question was, why did Mqhayi wait for Penuel to die for him to raise the issue of the flag? And then that was their all these media outlets.
Which is fair, right? For someone that doesn't know the story.
No, it's not fair.
No, what I'm saying, for someone who doesn't know the story.
No, it's not fair. Do you know why? Do you know why? I believe that as a content producer or as a journalist or a presenter, you must first start with the background.
Sure.
Before you can actually get to the part of why wait for him to die. Or maybe
but it's still a fair question.
Is it a fair question? Without checking the background?
No, to say it seems convenient that you're only raising it now when you never raised it before.
When was dead?
It's just a question.
All right.
I'm not saying that they were right.
Okay, let's say it's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, that was their first line of what from their briefing, I believe. Yeah. So now they got to realize that Bandile did a lecture at Rhodes, and there's a story published. Even the reason why I'm here now, this is to put this on record on the history books, so that if they ignore it, still it's going to be there. Yeah. And then there was a story in 2011 that was published with Daily Dispatch by journalist Pauli Swaplaki about the flag, the book and the flag. That was 2011. That is on the records. The people, they see it.
Yeah.
Then 2013, 2013, I did Rhodes. The story was there. So at the time when Penuel died, I think the comrades instructed the communication was a Rhodes to remove the story. Because the story was removed.
I see he passed away in 2019.
Yes.
This is very important if you're referencing 2011.
Yes.
Because you're saying, no, way before he passed away, the work we've already started telling the story.
And he did not defend himself. It's appeal.
Yeah.
So on Sandiganji background. And then in 2013, I did Rhodes. In 2014, in June, on the 11th of June, 2014, Mr. Mqhayi and myself, we were on the morning show, Angela. I think it was 9 till 12. We spoke about the flag. It was on a Wednesday, 2014. And then a few days later, on the 15th of June, same 2014, Penuel was on TV talking about about the creation of the flag, where he was interviewed by Kabelo Mabalane on a program called Play Your Part.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can't find that interview. And I've found on internet, but I do have in the save nicely.
I see on his Wikipedia, he designed the flag of South Africa and claimed to have designed the flag of Namibia as well.
Yeah, I've seen those things, but let me just proceed so that thing has a better clash.
Sure.
So now, after the government realized that this thing has been on the public domain longer than the time Penuel passed on, then they came with a new angle with your media people. So the new angle was like, do you have proof? You know, the only thing about them is proof. They don't actually. And then, fine, I did the submission with Mr. Mqhayi, office, Ministry of Arts and Culture, so that we can get certain information before we actually take the legal route. Yeah, and then we made the submission, and then we also made a submission to a parliament and we portfolio committee of Arts and Culture.
Yeah.
So since I'm saying that people are the highest currency, so what I do a lot of this thing called lobbying. Was the politicians. Yeah, so I know people from all these different political formations, especially the ones on top. So we made that submission. After making the submission, they said they're going to go through their archives. Now the question was, they want to digitize everything. Why were they only digitizing the stuff only after Mr. Mqhayi made Nansiga spoke about his designership and that Penuel stole his work? Then they took forever, and then we dragged the media. And then after the media, they pushed. Then they initially they said Mr. Mqhayi does not even look like an artist. So what they did from their
that's actually very disrespectful, because it's almost like saying someone doesn't look like a criminal. You're saying, what does a criminal look like?
Definitely. So what happened from there? We instigated the media, so the media came in favor of the government. Because if you can notice, even on stories, Mr. Mqhayi, the government is never going for interviews. Why? Because the South African flag is supposed to have a well-documented legal document about the flag. Where is that document? So that we don't have to be talking issues of Mr. Mqhayi and designership and stuff like that. Why are they rejecting to get on platforms? And many other media outlets, they were interested to cover the story. There's this one someone, I'm sure, who actually keeps on blocking them from actually running the story. The government does not want. I approached another guy on Metro FM. He's like, no, this is an old story. Do you have proof? So what they did, they got 3 designs from the 5 designs that Mr. Mqhayi actually designed from their archives, despite them having said that Mr. Mqhayi does not even look like an artist. So now, I just want to read for you the terms of reference. Terms of reference for the flag, so that when we continue, you get the picture of everything. So the terms of reference for the flag, we're saying according to they are answering affidavit, because we have an ongoing case against the state about the flag, and then in their answering affidavit, which was composed by somebody called Temba Gerald Ndimane, who is a DDG, I think. So it says the flag should be of a unique design. It should promote national unity. It should be so simple that even a child can recognizably draw it. Primary colors are preferred. Design should be submitted in full color, preferably A4 size. A brief motivation for the design may also be included. Those were the terms of reference for the flag. No? And then when we talk about primary colors that they say are preferred, the primary colors is red, blue, and yellow. You see?
Yeah.
And then from the designs, they got the 3 designs they sent back to us with Mr. Mqhayi. They have 6 colors. We can say Mr. Mqhayi did not design the flag, right? I'm going to show you some stuff here, don't worry. We take it easy, ne? That is number 1. This is for you. How many colors do you see there?
What flag is this?
No, that's part of the designs they got from the archives.
Design submission by Mr. Mqhayi. Design number 1.
Yeah, just check the color.
The feedback on the findings of the department regarding the matter.
No, that is a short thing. I just want you to look at the...
No, I understand. The reason I'm reading is because people won't be able to see this. So I need them to know what I'm looking at.
Oh, no, there's actually a letter that came from the department. So I was just showing you...
But are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm saying the only reason I'm reading before I answer you is because the people watching won't be able to see what I'm seeing. So I'm trying to visually... trying to articulate so that they can picture what I'm seeing.
No, it's a half done. Your reading is half done. Yeah, it starts here. It's a letter, actually.
The feedback on the findings of the department regarding the matter of the restoration and rectification of history pertaining to the design of the new flag of the Republic of South Africa, which is the heading of this longer letter, which was sent to yourself and Mr. Hastings Mqhayi from Mr. E.N. Mthethwa, who was the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture back then, Minister Nathi Mthethwa at the time. I see there's another picture here, because you did say he submitted
five designs.
Designs.
Then they got 3 designs from their archives. Yeah.
So you're asking me how many colors are here? I see blue, yellow, red, black,
green, and white.
Is that green?
Yeah, it's green.
Green, white. That's the one flag.
Yeah.
Should I go to this one?
Go to all of
this
them.
One's got red. Is that green?
Yeah, it's green.
Green, yellow.
Yes.
And I see they both have stars.
There's blue also
inside, but I'll post these pictures on my other social media platforms. I see the blue line as well. These were some of his designs that they found in the archives.
Yeah, there's another one, a 3rd one. I think there's another paper somewhere there. Yeah.
This one here, another star as well. Mqhayi like the star, ne?
Yes, he's a star.
Is this green on the side?
Yeah, it's green.
White, yellow, red, blue, black.
Yeah. How many colors does the South African flag have?
One, the current one or these ones?
The current one.
Hey, I'm not sure. Is it 6?
Yeah, it's 6.
6 colors?
Yeah. You saw there? So, no, I just wanted to show you this, ne?
Sure.
And I read...
You're going to send these to me?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay, because I'll be able to post them on my social media pages for people to peruse as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
So basically what happened is I just wanted to show you something, because firstly we need to understand also the principles of plagiarism.
Okay.
Right? So if the terms of reference were saying that primary colors is most 3 colors.
Okay.
So green is a secondary color.
Okay.
You understand? And all these other colors, the gold and what.
Yeah.
So I'll show you another thing also here, that if they wouldn't find the flag that is actually flying on the archives, because it's already flying. Do you understand? And now I have this picture to show you, which you said you can also going to post. Ne?
Sure.
The thing is, the reason why I'm giving you this background,
This is Mr. Penuel
sitting, in front of
a lot of different flags.
Yeah, flag designs.
You said there were 7,000 submissions.
Yeah, that's what they say. Yes.
Okay.
So you see there's 2 colors, which is green and yellow.
Hey, these could have been our flags, Mas.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, but these flags are pop. Okay.
So you see them, ne?
Sure.
So if the terms of reference were saying 6 colors.
3 colors.
No, if they were saying 6 colors,
okay.
It would then make sense that maybe Penuel could have designed it. Why is the flag that is flying having all the 6 colors that Mqhayi has from the archives that we got from the department?
Sure.
Why is it a coincidence?
Okay.
Let's say for argument's sake.
I don't know the argument. You can make it.
No, let's say for argument's sake.
Sure.
Mr. Mqhayi did not design the flag.
Okay.
Ne? He did not design the flag.
Yeah.
But the flags they got from their archives have 6 colors. The flag that is currently flying has 6 colors.
Yeah.
And the person who is said to be the designer was the one who was receiving designs from artists across South Africa.
Yeah. So if this guy was meant to receive the flags, the argument is that he received 7,000 flags and he wasn't happy. Yeah. And he designed his own one.
Yes.
And that was the one that he passed.
Yes.
So people were submitting just for fun, and he decided, I'm a better designer.
Yes.
Yeah. If this is the case, it does leave a lot to be desired. We've got similar arguments with Cyril Ramaphosa being the chair of the BEE Commission.
Okay.
Back in the day, and becoming one of the beneficiaries of that same thing that was meant to benefit other people. But thank you for bringing this. I'm definitely going to post it.
Yeah.
And it is something that we need to know. The one question that people would ask in terms of pushback, is there money to be made in being known as the person that designed the flag, which might be the reason why maybe people are pushing back, because there are people chowing money. And they're like, no, Mqhayi is trying to get these royalties from the flag. Is it just a matter of, no, we just want the recognition? It's not about money. Or are there other fights that may be involved that may make people want to figure out why is there pushback from government in terms of the story?
Now, there's probably beneficiaries who are benefiting from the flag. I don't know how.
Sure.
But
Sorry, you can take this. Thank you, sir.
Okay. But then the drive behind this subject is not necessarily about the flag. For instance, you'll find work musicians, people who are crafters, who are visual artists, who are dancers, etc. Everybody wants to be a musician because in music there are royalties.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to the arts, you've got your SATU logo. You see people are printing the logo on diaries. They are printing the logo on T-shirts, jackets and stuff like that. And then the artist, the logo is bigger than the artist. Yet the very same people who are part of the bigger problem, they don't really come with a solution. So I have identified the problem and came up with a solution. The solution is to the government is that what we are proposing is that they must pass legislation whereby if somebody designs a symbol, even if it's a symbol for a certain entity, when there's printing involved, those they need to be regulated. So that artists from all these different spaces, they also get to get royalties and also get to benefit. Because now,
it makes sense.
So if Mqhayi dies today, we will know him that he was the SATU logo. Then we all claim we don't understand how Mqhayi died poor, yet he designed such a symbol.
Yeah.
So now, for instance, the State Herald reached out to us around November last year, 2023, requesting us to come for a round table meeting to us to discuss what we want to get out of this. History must be recorded properly, because let me make an example. if it wasn't for Penuel to say that he's the one who designed the flag, I guess that is the controversy we could have actually faced, where you see your DA people banning the flag, where you have apartheid people still wanting to embrace an old flag. Because remember, art is spiritual. Yeah. Obviously, there's a discomfort when it comes to this particular symbol. And some people will say, no, we're not going to eat flags and what. But then the flag, it needs to be corrected. History must be told correctly when it comes to our people who have made huge contributions. And people will also be asking that, why was he silent and all those things. Remember, Mr. Mqhayi was a political activist. He was assisting in Anziga the politics of the day through his art. Yeah. So he would be tasked to design, let's say, banners for protest marches. And he was not supposed to be known that he's the one who created those. So comrades from Denosa, he also designed the Denosa coat of arms. They would go to him because they knew that he was an artist. That is why that whenever there was a call, the call never involved money when it comes to the flag. But now we must not be told a lie. History must be recorded accordingly. Because also, if you look at the flag, according to Mr. Mqhayi's inspiration to do the flag, if you look here, for instance, around the pole of the flag, that's where Penuel cut the flag. This is a replica of what Mqhayi designed. Okay. So they cut that part.
So the original flag wasn't even the way it looks now. It's been cropped.
Yes.
Okay, I'll post this as well.
Yeah, it was cropped, that part.
Sure.
There. And then after the cropping it, so the inspiration, Mr. Mqhayi studied flags of other nations and he got inspired by the Jamaican flag.
Sure.
As you can see there by
you can definitely see the Jamaican flag, yeah. The gold and the black.
Yes. And then
when you look at our flag.
And then his inspiration also was that he created a symbol that unites all the political parties that were rivals, that were fighting against each other during apartheid, under one symbol. That's why you're able to see the old South African flag, you see the IFP, you see SACP, etc.
Sure.
So that is basically how this whole thing came about. They need to correct it. If they have a legal document, why are they running away from the media?
To show the legal document.
Yes, why are they
how the flag got approved and what happened.
Yeah, because even recently, I had an interview. I see how these media people are co-opted. Last month, I had an interview with Newsroom Africa about a project I'm doing of a beauty pageant where the winner will be taken to London or Paris.
Okay.
So the presenter, I love her so much, Maschab, I love her energy. And then she raised the question of the flag during the interview. Yeah. Guess what? Newsroom people cut the part where she was questioning. And then I reached out to PCCSA to say, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Can this be corrected? They say, no, we cannot, blah, 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 blah. They use those templates. A certain lady called Shawnees Martin. And then by the time it reached Newsroom, the PCCSA, that is said to be an independent body, gets to defend a channel for doing something wrong. And then when they replied, there's a certain Tat or what, who is a crisis, who manages crisis when it comes, they all said no, they have the right to edit. But now my question is, do these people also edit live interviews? A live interview gets edited. They cut out that whole thing. And as a result, I told them that I'm not fazed by TV. They must remove all interviews I've had with them, because in 2022 I had an interview with Thabo Mdluli. And if you can watch that interview, you can see all these presenters, they're very hostile. They have a position that you can't be a black person, you can't be black people fighting against the state. So they need to fix this. And now the interesting thing is, I know politicians have got this mindset that they are unshaken born. What I did, I wrote letters back in the day in 2021 to the EFF, I wrote to the UDM, I wrote to the ANC, I wrote to the DA, and then I wanted to prove that artists are on their own. Nobody is actually taking care of this project. Yeah. Yet if you talk about EFF speaks about land, people stealing land. White people did not only steal land from us, they also steal our natural intelligence on so many fronts, you know. So, but at least I'm not criticizing the EFF. At least they did put in some work, but I feel like they could have done better. Like I said, if somebody can make you move certain steps. Yeah. So the fortunate part for me is that, most in Parliament, we also lodge a complaint there. In Parliament, you'll have the secretary, then have the chairperson. And in most instances, you'll find that the secretary is an ANC member, the chairperson is an ANC member. So when you lodge a complaint to those portfolio committees, they will ensure that it does not reach the people on the opposition benches. So what I do, whenever I do, even cases that I do, I will send the document and then lobby the opposition.
Yeah.
And then at least I think the EFF played a part in terms of that when they had Podringo Madlingos in Parliament, because it always update me what they are saying and what they are doing in Parliament, and other political parties in the background. So I feel this project has proven to me that what people say in public is not really what they are about.
Sure.
You know, because now artists are suffering, and personally, I've taken a position that I've been attacked. My projects have been sabotaged by these people who claim to empower and develop us, which is the ANC people. So I reach a level whereby I'm not going to sit in a certain corner, fold arms and say, why me? So if it involves the government. So where I was going with this, I was saying, since they think this thing is not going to happen, what is going to happen is this. I'm doing LLB now.
Did you finish your information technology?
I got excluded, financial exclusion.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Don't be sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it does not feature anyway, but it works for me in a way.
Okay.
And then, so I'm not going to sit in a corner. So what I'm doing now, I'm doing LLB. But I still win cases. I profile cases. I didn't tell you that. I generate evidence for people in the background. So if it involves government, bring it to me. I'll solve it. I'll know their ways. So now...
You're telling people that if they're fighting against government or anything that has to do with politics...
If it has to do with government...
They must come to you.
Yeah, they must come to me.
Okay.
I'll make it happen.
Okay.
So now, so what I was saying, like, I'm not going to sit in a corner because I've been abused by these people.
Yeah.
And now I cannot sit back and just watch them making them their spiritual punching bag and otherwise, you know.
Sure.
So I've been fighting them, and I continue to fight them with the cases that I do. I profile cases for people.
Sure.
That's what I do. One of the things I do in the background.
I think we've got 10 more minutes. I just want to make sure we cover the most important things in these last 10 minutes.
In these 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let's essential in terms of I'm doing LLB,
sure,
meaning this case will never die. They can co-opt attorneys from elsewhere. It's fine. It's all well and good.
Yeah.
I've been training myself on motion graphics. You can see I've started a podcast there called My Story Uncensored on YouTube, where I tell stories where people have to speak about things they could not speak about, they can't speak about because of these stupid confidentiality clauses that they sign, and which go against the code of conduct that they are supposed to actually execute in the workplace. Now apart from the law part, there's motion graphics on the side.
Okay.
So a documentary is coming called The Story of the Stolen Flag.
Okay.
Yeah? And then now, when I'm only now left with sound now, you know, to master sound. But you can check My Story Uncensored, you'll see stories there.
Yeah.
When I master sound and able to compose my own soundtrack so that I don't get issues, then the story is going to come. I've already established international relationships with festival organizers across the globe. So now they must know if they don't rectify this, they will know that we are going to fix it. The media people, where are you? Here's the story.
Yeah.
Researchers, where are you? Historians, where are you? And those who are adversities, they can invite me to come and lecture them on this. I do lectures across the country and overseas to speak about the flag so that the academics can write. Because I'm not an academic, I'm just an academic from the University of Involvement. That's where I graduated from. And my understanding of issues are based on practicality versus what education says. Because,
at some point we'll have to speak about confidentiality clauses, because a lot of people get oppressed and exploited in the name of confidentiality. And a big part of it is the lack of knowledge around the law. Because as soon as it's confidential, you can't say, people don't know that there's a contravention of constitutional rights. There's a contravention of human rights, because they said, we can't say. And you're like, that cannot be good enough from the law. And if ever someone's going to ask you not to say anything, they must explain why. And they must explain it in layman's terms that the reason you can't speak about this is for this reason. But it mustn't be to discriminate against the person who must then keep quiet. And it cannot be that just because someone is sharing something that they feel is bad for them, they say, but you violated confidentiality. And that's going to be another conversation we're going to need to have, because the legal system protects too many people in the arts, too many people in business, too many people in politics under the guise of, but you signed a contract. But this is confidential. But this is not meant to be public information. And it cannot be that the law sides with contracts even when you can prove that the person who signed the contract did not have the knowledge that this thing was oppressive to them.
We'll have to have that conversation, because the legal space is in shambles. You know, like I said, that I profile cases. You know, back in Stakespruit, there was a case of a lady where they created a marriage certificate for a bogus wife so that they can channel the late man's estate into the wrongful hands, because the old lady got married, and did not register the marriage.
Sure.
So this is the case with many of these organizations, especially these administrators, as administrator imali zabantu of these companies. You know what they do: if you are not married, you don't have a will, and you don't have a child, they will create a child for you. And they will always say, with departments, that, okay, your husband and a child. There are many cases like that. Those people actually, those people do not have children. When you get them to come and say, prove this. There's a recent case I did with this establishment called BMW not so long ago, about somebody who died in 2018. And then they claimed that that man had a child. And they're going to withhold those funds until the child turns 21.
Yeah.
And then they rechannel. So now if you try to fight the system, how do you fight the system when all these spaces are dominated by political deployees? People who are actually used, you know, these financial institutions, they are cadres who are deployed to facilitate the process of misdirecting the estate late of other people. So it's very tough, and maybe that's a conversation we should have. Now, I'm ready to speak about it, because our people are dying on the ground, and I don't want to see it happen to myself. And maybe even the reference I made to my grandmother and the land, I never had an interest to be on her land.
Yeah.
But because I could see that there was somebody who was trying to misdirect that is why I have this passion, because I love to create my own things.
Yeah.
So if now somebody, let's say Mr. Penuel, solely depends on the investment that your parent have left you with, and then now there's people within the legal space who are misdirecting all these assets into the wrongful hands, because Stakespruit is quite a small town. When you speak about these people, I prefer to be Gamalom than an organization, because I've been in the background for over 10 years. And the skill I gained it from that experience of managing Ulaki, whereby I write for these people, ask the relevant questions, so that when we want to escalate the matter legally, we started the conversation, and we don't make you aware that we are fighting you. From your responses, we take that to show that this thing happened, and then you actually agree that this thing has happened. So when I'm done with this law business, who's our car?
People like hiding behind organizations. Every other year, you'll hear of a big pension insurance policy company, whether it's an Old Mutual, Sanlam. They'll say every other year, they don't do it regularly. We've got 10 billion that's sitting, that's never been claimed. There's people's pensions at the GEPF that haven't been claimed. There's obviously REF, there's been a lot of corruption as well there. I always ask myself, why are they not, if you are my father and your ID is there, it cannot be a difficult process to track children that are linked to you. And to find those children, whether at the credit bureau or maybe they've got a bank account somewhere, to be like, we'd like to contact these people because the father once left 100,000, 500,000. It can't just be, if you guys don't claim, we can't help. When you guys have the information. So I feel like there's a lot of looting that happens in government, in private, in various ways.
No, sorry to interject. Even GEPF is doing the same.
Sure.
And I think that comes from an auditing point of view. Because now when they're audited and then there are monies that are not out, now they come with that justification to say you've got so much money, and then people do not come and claim. Because now they want to keep documents and papers in order that, okay, this is money for A, B, C, D. There's also a case I did of a lady who, it's tough, right? But I don't have confidentiality clauses. Yeah, but I come for them. If it's government, I want them. I'm ready. I'm ready. So the lady, she got married, and some of the cases I do is defeat and amagqwetha sometimes because abaye bafunde nje amaphepha.
Yeah.
So now mna ndifighter socially, they fighting in media, but the media they fear legal issues.
Yes.
Yeah, they fear them when you come
because they will get sued, even though you're coming with the matter. They're scared of getting sued themselves.
No, I don't think they're scared about being sued, but because kaloku the people, the principalities, as by controlayo, they are beneficiaries of
There's also that as well, yeah.
Yeah, they are beneficiaries of all these monies that are being diverted. Because not so long ago, an old man who is a relative to mine wanted his money from Sasol. And then he did an affidavit. I believe an affidavit is a legal document,
yes,
which gives me consent that I must follow up on certain things that the company must produce to me.
Yeah.
A person who is a team leader in the organization does not know the purpose of an affidavit. Instead, she says the old man must call her. What difference does it make? Because now there's an affidavit. You can just call to verify.
You're a proxy. If you've got an affidavit, a copy of an ID,
definitely
they can verify, of course, if
yes,
they feel
by calling.
it's fraudulent, because it could be fraudulent.
Yeah, no.
But in the absence of that, you can always use an affidavit as a proxy.
Yeah. So what I can tell you in government, remember, a lot of government, a majority are from the ANC, and those people are initiates of the kingdom of darkness. Yeah, boy. So life here, it's about money and nothing else. They don't care about people. We understand. So if they deploy incompetent people in those spaces. Yeah, and then when those people because as spaces, they don't know what to do, because imagine a country and the leaders as appointed based on how many meetings they attend and how much they can lie to people. Then it's in the future. I mean, I'm not educated in the space of law, but I've won more cases that were even complex to attorneys without even taking the legal route.
Sure.
You understand? Some of them you'll find that lawyers, after we take the communication and do it as annexures, you find that they don't know which application. Oh, and other attorneys were like, oh no, we didn't get a response from a certain organization, so we don't know. We can just calculate the amount we've used. No, you've not done your work. So
there's still so much we still need to speak about. Let me shut it down.
All right.
Bandile Magibili, to be black, Hastings Mqhayi's State of Art address, anti-apartheid artist. I'm going to share your book. I'm hoping that we can push some copies through my social media platforms. I'm going to try and get, I'm going to need to get some of those documents you shared to put them on social media. I'm going to put your contact details in the description of this video. There's a lot to be spoken about. There's a lot we need to fight on. But just for the purposes of this initial sitting, I just want to say thank you for the work you're doing. Not just for Mr. Hastings Mqhayi, for the work you've done for artists in poetry, in singing, in the instrumentalists, for the activism you've taken upon yourself to fight for the rights of South Africans, for reminding us that our wealth is not only in the land, but also in our creativity, in our works, in our expression. I think that's very powerful and very important. I don't know if you want to say anything more, maybe one line or two lines as we shut down.
Let me just say thank you also for accommodating me and also giving me the freedom to speak. I hope mainstream media will also reach the level of actually being open and actually call for a national dialogue with the government, so that you can actually clarify and make this thing clear, because we can't be telling a wrong history and then expect that we will be able to make corrections. How do we correct something that is wrong in the first place? So mainstream media, researchers, please do your work. You are educated, we are not educated, but a guy from Danger's Hook, we don't have anything, but manage to actually true involvement, to get the information that bypassed or Cyril Ramaphosa, who were legal practitioners. So the legal process around the flag was defrauded. And nobody speaks about that. So it's about time that we speak about that. We understand that they are friends. They've written papers, they've written theses. So when thesis that was irrelevant with this information.